What is up, guys? Welcome on back to TK's Garage. And a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about over the last week is, shocker, actually started to happen. We talked about the emissions rollbacks that were going to be coming from the EPA and the Department of Transportation. Both of those have come to pass. But one of the biggest things that a lot of you guys have been in the comments about, especially for my friends that live in California, are, well, they won't be able to do anything here. Wrong. Because not only is it going to happen executively, but it's also going to happen legislatively. Roll that intro. So one of the things that I have talked about extensively here is, I talked a little bit about several of the newly elected members of the Senate and existing members of the Senate talking about making sure California can no longer dictate, emissions policy and environmental policy for the rest of the country, right? Knowing that was such a big folly, such a big fail, costing just so much money now in terms of emissions equipment that gets put on vehicles because of these CAFE standards and CARB, that there is some legislation being proposed from Mark Alford. He's one of 3 different Congress people that are sponsoring a bill originally from Baytown, Texas, and I believe he's now he's a representative from the state of Missouri, congressman from Missouri. Now, why this is important is, yes, these executive actions and policy actions that are being done by the EPA and the DOT do have immediate effect, and they will allow you to do things like delete the DPF and emissions off your truck, or take off MDS or active fuel management off of your vehicles. You can do that now, right? You could do it before. It's just you couldn't get a shop to do it because they were worried about the EPA kicking down their door, and that's no longer a risk now. Where this gets interesting now is instead of it just being that executive action, remember I said, and I talked about that interview where they were talking, where Zeldin and others were talking about how they could make it so cost prohibitive, right? It's the biggest thing I see in the comments. Well, as soon as somebody else gets in from the other party, they'll just change it all back. No. So legislation is being proposed that would make it so cost prohibitive for whoever it is that was in office that might want to change direction on that. It would literally be political suicide. It would be over with for your political career. You would be a one-term anything because what they're proposing here is it would become so cost prohibitive for them to unwind and change all of these different things that it's impossible for them to switch back, and that is what needs to happen. Some of this legislation that's being proposed would basically repeal and pull back everything that California has the rights to do now with their CAFE standards and CARB, and it would put it back under federal supremacy where it is anyway. By the way, just in case you didn't know, the federal government never ceded their authority over the state of California when it comes to that. They just allowed them to kind of set up their own things under federal supervision, basically. Now, I know there'll be people from California that are super tree hugging. You know what you're talking about? Just like I didn't know what I was talking about with all of these other things that have already come to pass, and we're going to see the same thing. And when this legislation goes through, nobody's going to stand up and say, "Oh, we don't want to pass that." There's even people from the Democrat Party in Michigan and other places that are pro this legislation, because it allows people to be able to build cars and make equipment, farm equipment, trucks, things of that nature, that aren't so cost prohibitive with this unnecessary emissions equipment that basically makes these vehicles unreliable. So anyways, I thought this was interesting. I thought it was something I should bring to you here, as we'll probably see more Congress people sign on as they propose this bill and put it up. And I think it's going to be a bipartisan bill. That's the thing that's shocking, is it would end up being a bipartisan bill if they don't make the costing like so prohibitive right away where Democrats won't sign on for it. But I think they will anyway. I think this is just a common sense bill to get us back to a point where, and when that bill passes, you're going to see such a radical change in the automotive landscape, at least here in the US, in terms of V8 engines and stuff, that it's going to be insane. So I'd love to know what you guys think in the comment section down below. How do you feel about all of the changes that have come down now from the Environmental Protection Agency and the Department of Transportation? I'd love to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments. I'm going to stay on top of this. Like I said, as soon as I see anything else, or if I hear anything else through the grapevine, you know, I will bring it to you guys here. Make sure to give the video a big thumbs up if you like what I do. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And as always, stay petty, my friends.